just outside the front of the embassy now, you can see a line of police officers. They are here in numbers now. They've managed to reclaim the pavement outside the front of the embassy, which was full of a few dozen Julian Assange supporters or protesters who'd gathered to offer their support to him as he awaits that asylum decision. The police moved in about 10 minutes or so ago to try to get those protesters to go over to the other side of the road where there are a number of pens. Then, though, it turned ugly as those protesters decided they weren't going anywhere. The police tried to move them. The scuffles broke out on the roadway itself, and we saw two people being taken into police custody. They've been put in the back of police vans which are waiting around the corner, but it really has changed the atmosphere outside the embassy quite markedly. It was this morning, I wouldn't say it was a party atmosphere at all, but certainly people were behaving themselves. They were here just to offer their support. It was all pretty good-natured. But when the police were determined to move in and asked them to go to the pens, we'll just show you actually the pens that are on the other side. Some of the protesters have gone into those pens. Others have kind of scattered to pens that are further up the street, past where the camera crews are there. And others are just sort of in the side streets. When the police moved in to try to get them to go into those pens, that's when the atmosphere changed. The protesters were adamant they weren't going to move anywhere. They saw that as an infringement of their freedoms and their civil liberties. Let's hear from one of the protesters we spoke to just a minute ago, just after these arrests took place.
Here to defend Julian Assange and all of those who support him, not for just revealing secrets of information, but also freedom of speech and all the people around the world who yearn to be free.
And why do you feel so strongly?
Because basically this morning, about 3 a.m, the British police attempted to illegally invade Ecuadorian soil. We stopped them from doing so peacefully, and we are here to make sure that that peace is maintained and that the law is not broken and that international law is stuck to.
Well, the gentleman there speaking to us, one of those who was initially arrested by the police. I don't think the police want to make an issue of this in terms of clearly confronting these protesters, but they are determined to move them from the front of that embassy because they really want to make this a sterile area. As you can see, we'll just give you another shot of the number of officers who've turned up. I would say there are probably a few dozen police officers now surrounding the embassy itself. They want a sterile cordon because they know once that decision comes in a couple of hours' time from the Ecuadorian authorities, if it is a decision granting Julian Assange asylum, then at some point in the very near future, because the British authorities have warned they will go into the embassy, they're going to have to decide. They're going to have to make a move to get Julian Assange out of the embassy. When that happens, the police don't want dozens of protesters involved in a mass scuffle over there. They want to be able to cleanly move in, arrest Julian Assange and take him away. Remember, he is in breach of his bail conditions that he was granted at the very beginning of this extradition process when the Swedish authorities called for him to be returned to that country where he is facing allegations of rape and sexual assault.